There we go. We're on. Okay.
Thanks.
Calling to order the Economic Development Commission for August 25th, 2025. Ms. Dowdy, will you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Rodney Pattershuk,
Here.
Nate Zelinsky, absent. Cole Donaldson,
Here.
Becky Jacobs,
Here.
David Moons, absent or possibly late. Um, Besides that, in attendance, we have a city council liaison, council member Kate Pishon Hellman, and staff liaisons, director of planning and community development Carlos Trejo, and senior planner Dawn Doty. Welcome, everyone.
All right, fantastic. Going to go through the agenda here. Seeing if we have any public comments. We have no one in attendance. Some rather cold, empty chairs out there. Let's see if we have some hot ones online.
Not at this time, Chairman.
Okay, we'll dispense with that. Okay, moving right along. The EDC 5-year Economic Development Plan, a business license status strategy, and we're going to talk a little bit about distressed and underperforming parcels. Ms. Doughty, I presume you have some data for us?
Yes, I do.
Don't forget to push your button.
Yes, I almost did not manage that. But so our 5-year economic development plan sets forth a number of goals, and I actually am realizing I did not splice in the more recent comprehensive plan parts where we confirm these goals and expand upon them. But as part of the 5-year economic development plan, uh, one of the goals is to look at our different retail centers. So I've done a little breakdown by the total sales minus the sums that they've paid in state and federal taxes, as well as and excluding sales outside of Missouri. So these are merchants only within the shops at Price Crossing. So this does not include any office spaces or anything like that, which also contribute to revenue, et cetera, and employees. By focusing strictly on merchants because they report their sales, and as a like a litmus or a measure of economic health, looking at their aggregate sales year over year to see if they're doing better or worse comparatively. Shops at Price Crossing looking rather good. And I didn't on purpose, I didn't start it out, on purpose with the big flash, a big increase, but it
Just-
just happened to work out.
Just to
east
be
west.
just to be clear, you're saying this is not sales tax receipts. This is property tax plus sales tax.
No, this would be sales,
Revenue.
their revenue.
Oh, their revenue. Okay,
Yeah, the business revenue.
yeah, because those are some pretty big numbers for sales tax.
They are, yes. And so it does not directly reflect the sales tax or the amount that they pay. They do pay 1/10 of 1% on this amount. So we are charging them, as it were, a fraction of that amount that they are reporting. But as far as the shops at Price Crossing goes, the retailers, although RevoCup and the Wine Merchant have not been on this list consistently, the Wine Merchant did not come on till 2024. And the numbers, the sales weren't reflected really until 2025. You have, let's see, the rest other are pretty constant, but Vantage Credit Union was the previous user of the wine merchant space. They were not a merchant. They did not generate, or report this amount. And we require they report this amount on their business license application, renewal application.
And Don, I think it's important to note, so like the dates that you see there, that's the sales 2 years prior. So that very last bar, that's May 15th, 2026, that was the 2024 sales.
Correct.
So
Uh,
when you look at this,
Yeah, no, I do
Okay.
need to put that in context, that the expiration dates, they're listed on the bottom there, refer to the expiration date of the business license. That was just the simple way to break them out by, in a time fashion. So whenever they report these numbers, they do so by May 15th of every year. This captures the sales January through December for the previous annual year. So you have that 5 months to get your numbers together, essentially, between, December and May. It does give people a good amount of time. Most people do not need that time, and people have gotten to be earlier payers as a result of it. So, yeah, so what you, as Carlos was saying, the 2026 obviously does not reflect sales in the in 2026. That has not occurred yet. They are reflective of 2024.
yeah, so it's safe to say like that first, the bar, the 2023, the pandemic hit that April, that early summer. And then 24 is 2022 while we were in the pandemic before we got out. And then you can see the recovery. But even after the recovery on that third column, which is 25, which is 2023, uh, the center was recovered well, and then it's still doing okay. With the combination of the wine merchant, and then there's been some other changes in the center.
Yeah, Revo Cup also is another notable. They replaced Starbucks, but Starbucks had, there was no revenue from that Starbucks for a period of time. So going on, oh, sorry.
I see that.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank.
I see that the sales include outside of Missouri.
No.
So
They do not include sales outside of Missouri and
excluding, sales
Excluding.
excluding. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay.
And so unless I
Never
typed that wrong, I wasn't excluding that possibility.
Yes.
Yeah, no, obviously merchants, we have basically that reporting function so that you can tell us how much you've made in sales, outside of Missouri. But a merchant, like most of these retailers, are not going to have that. They don't have online sales, or, you know, yeah, I guess online sales is really the only instance where you have that. Or, if they do uh, some kind of, whatever symposium somewhere. Uh, Now, Olivet Plaza, a lot more simple. The merchants there are much fewer. And you can, I don't know that you would really deduce much from this. It's not a huge fall amount over the years, but certainly, only leading up to 2024. I hope to see these numbers kind of improve as, they recently reskinned the building and it does look a lot nicer.
So the companies that are, or the businesses that are representative here are consistent all through those numbers of years.
These in particular are, this is one of the few that they are consistent year over year. And in the retailers listed, there were like, so the back and neck place, that is a service. The salon is also primarily a service and has never really reported any sales of merchandise. There are salons like Salon 3 that reports their sales in addition to their service numbers. So it kind of depends. Same thing with automotive, like you have parts and labor. So there are sales associated with those. For Plant Haven, our newest center, we see how it has gone from a vacant lot to a relatively, not, I don't know, powerhouse is the right way to say it, but I like to think that they're doing pretty well. It has included these stores, and there has not been any turnover to date.
Is it completely leased out?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
They've got offices upstairs.
Yeah.
Do we know who occupies those? Is it part of Plant Haven?
The lower tenants, the spaces are either set up like the great.
Oh, yeah.
It's the lower tenants. The spaces are like at a Great Heart. They have the mezzanine level and the
gotcha,
eating
okay.
area. I believe the Salon 3 has some office space above them, their office space, and then Plant Haven extends over
Okay, sounds
the
good.
UPS store.
And I imagine with a Great Heart just opening recently, these numbers are going to grow probably a lot more.
Yes. Great Heart has only a couple months that they reported of the last year. So yeah, I want to say there was only 3 that's included in that.
I hear they have some really great ice cream in there.
Ice cream. Well,
You'll have
we
to
need
go
to
check it
take
out.
this
Is there a name brand that goes
offline.
with that?
Locally made by my own 2 hands.
Mhm. I see. Everybody needs to go to
Under
Great
your
Heart for ice cream.
Under my supervision.
All of that center, a lot more retailers. And you can see that there has been some change with the reduction from
Parties.
Tuesday morning as well as Party City. Party City is reflected in that first year for the 2024. Well, no. Yeah, because they did not report, or they did not renew their business license. So yeah, it would not be in there. But otherwise, we also don't have numbers from some of these retailers. So
Is that why the number reflected in the last column is so low?
no.
Or is that because Party City was gone?
No, I would say that it accounts for Party City. Also, whenever Tuesday morning was replaced by the Dance Academy is not a merchant.
Oh.
So,
I thought it was the fitness place that's in it.
and the
Oh, yeah.
fitness place is also no longer a merchant because Anytime Fitness does not sell anything besides their membership.
Got it. Okay.
So, I don't know. Maybe if they sell water, I don't think so. But
I think they have a
certain,
fountain in there.
there might be a fountain in
Yeah.
there. However, Taikei Shabu Shabu, when looking at their numbers individually, it seemed very strong. So as I wouldn't say that there is a necessary reduction in, the components that are here so much as an absence of those that are no longer in town. And the Cake and Crab, if they pack that parking lot every night. If they are not pulling it in like crazy, I don't know. Yeah. So Olivet restaurants specifically. We had a banner, reporting year the previous year, but I feel like our 2026, which is the 2024 numbers, look pretty good. It obviously doesn't include any of the things that are coming yet. The actually Great Heart Brewery is not listed on here, but they absolutely should be. That's simply an error on my part. They are included in the numbers. So, if there are any questions about those?
So part of this, talking with Don, it's part of the 5-year plan that we now have the resources, thanks to the council and the software we have, to really, digitize or put the data into spreadsheets and make it useful forms where Don can go through here and read through it till we can get down to like a single tenant or entity. We can't disclose some of those numbers. That's why we probably tried to put them in an aggregate. But we can start, the goal here was to run an exercise with the commission to kind of look at how we can use that data. Like in this case, we did the restaurants because, you know, we want to encourage our residents to eat in all of that because it's important that sales tax is now back to, you know, a good third of our budget, or 25% of our budget in there. So, you know, and also, you know, to be able to shop in all of that, and what are mechanisms or ways to do that. Which goes back to our business communication plan about, you know, working with business owners, you know, doing small little newsletter articles or interviews to promoting different businesses through opportunities on, you know, whether it's a turkey trot or being sponsors at the Five Oaks and things of that nature in there. So the goal here is, you know, that we can start looking at data, we can start looking at trends, we can look at, you know, like Olivet Plaza and how that, you know, it's an old shopping center. You know, Dollar Tree is good, but it's you know, it's been there in there. And the, you know, one of the things our comprehensive plan talks about is curating tenants and all that. We have a lot of service type of oriented tenants in those spaces, from the back and neck doctor, SSM, Becky J's in there. So it, you know, being a little bit more cognizant when we're trying to balance the number of tenants. The space works well. It's 100% occupied. The parking's good, but it probably isn't at its full potential in there. Not looking at any of these tenants being bad or trying to move them out, but being able to be aware of what's going on, and if there are flags that we can, you know, proactively, you know, engage with either the businesses or the owners to find out what's, you know, if there's anything we can provide. So.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting trend. You can see a lot of the pandemic trends here, but, you know, trying to extract that, you know, and look at these. This one probably was the most disappointing one, you know, that we weren't, you know, but there's a lot of competition now. If you go down to, you know, the other side of 170, you go to Creve Coeur, you know, the pie's getting bigger, and our slice is still in there. So
Well, actually, you know what? I beg to differ a little bit, because there's a clustering effect too, where as soon as you start to get more restaurants, people start to come here to make a decision afterwards. As soon as you have more shopping, people have come here because they know that they can make a decision rather than just go to one place. So that's good. And actually, you answered my question that I had with regards to privacy of revenue numbers, et cetera. So as long as you know, aggregate them and present them this way, we don't have a problem. Great.
Thought that I had, and I don't know when or where I came across this, Dawn, but I'm guessing it's a map that you created that was a map of Olivet restaurants, and had, you know, it's kind of one like if you were a new tourist somewhere, a hotel might give you this when you show up or something. Maybe
Is it the
wait-
dining guide?
Yeah, yes, the dining guide, the dining guide. But I thought, you know, I had never seen that before. I'm sure I found it when I was going through some of the things for the EDC. But it made me think just now, with the declining sales, if putting together another dining guide like that might be helpful, and something that could then go out in a newsletter.
It is up to date and it can go out. Yeah, it does have the new or the coming soon restaurants
Yeah.
on there as well. Although I'm, you know, wondering if there's another one that might be, you know, coming down the road. But it can be updated so easily that it's not, I would think that we would want to send that out. It is on our website. Maybe we can, when we can ask Kiana to push that out in social media. But thank you. Yes, it is my map.
it is, and then we use that when Emerson came in, they have 250 employees to make sure that they were aware, we're able to get an electronic copy to distribute it to the employees.
Yeah.
In there, so when there's those opportunities, Don takes advantage of that.
Yeah, or maybe even collaborating with the new apartment buildings too. Yeah, yeah.
Blunt in
Uh,
the newsletter is a great thing. And kind of just maybe one, just to explain what the EDC does for the residents, you know?
And, okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, especially the new people coming in. I agree with we have a concentration of people in these new apartment developments that should be a little easier to get to than a bunch of individual houses. If we're talking physical, or even going through the channel of the apartment, communications.
If we can get it in the newsletter, that's a great way to get it to, the apartments as well as the housing dwellers. So, because it goes out to each and every, actually, I don't know how they do it, but, we can look at the cost, of a mailing as opposed, and do a little cost comparison there. So,
By newsletter, are we talking about Olivet Life?
yes,
That one.
yeah,
That's what it's called, right?
I think so, yeah.
And it might be interesting to do something similar, kind of like one newsletter, it's a dining guide. The next newsletter, it's a health services guide, or, kind of if it's by theme or topic or, something like that, just as a way of really highlighting what we have here.
Yeah.
You know, actually,
People love spotlights. It's a
Yeah.
very easy way to organize things.
one thing we might consider is just a standalone, like the dining guide, et cetera, kind of a welcome to Olivet thing. We've got so many Olivet or so many apartments that have popped up in the last little while. Just provide the printing for the people in these running these places, and that way we don't have to pay postage.
True, yeah,
It's something we can coordinate and drop off with the managers or so.
yeah. We've got good, rapport with
Plus,
the,
it'd be a good, people checking places out if they want to rent there.
Mhm.
This is something they can hand them to help those people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Prospective tenants.
I was thinking an apartment guide, but it's probably better that there'd be more guides going to the apartments, though, I think. And besides health services and dining, I
I
would,
think there's a lot of personal services,
personal
whether
services.
it's athletics to hair.
There's gyms, like, I mean, and not just Five Oaks, but you have Anytime Fitness and a couple of other private things. Those would be all
Yeah,
good.
the Padel and Pickle, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
License bureau.
As I think about it more, I feel like the apartments are a particularly high return on your
Immediate service.
dining,
Yeah.
at least, especially dining promotion efforts, because they're ones who are more likely not to know about these things in a new area they're coming into. The incentives of you all and the apartments managers are aligned because they want to promote their area just like we want to promote
Yeah.
our area. And yeah, when I was in an apartment, I ate out more.
True that, and if you see the foot traffic
And you're
between the
closer.
Oliver
Yeah,
and
closer.
the little, yeah,
Yeah.
it's they're looking for something closer, or it would really appear so.
Well, wait, just wait until we've got a couple of restaurants, the French Baguette, the
Yeah.
Brat
Right.
Tap,
Mhm.
I'm sure Chevy's is doing very well. But yeah, that's something we can look at, maybe just
Yeah,
get some ideas on
absolutely.
what we could do with what possible tenants would want.
So there's only one more slide to this, and this is all merchants by quadrant instead of, it really does surprise you to see how much our merchants generate in the Dealman Price area. Those are wholesalers. So again, 1/10 of 1%, but we are rocking some, some nice wholesalers around town.
So that's like in the industrial area or the light
Yes.
industrial district?
So Dealman Price, Dealman Rock, and Warson Bauer are going to be our more flex and industrial spaces. There are quite a few more offices, which do sales, in the area. And especially if you consider the amount of car businesses that do the parts and sales, the numbers kind of really went up there.
Right, sounds good.
The Dealman price has always been high, but it jumped big time this last year. I think I remember from last meeting, you said there was a big business there that does a bulk of this sales.
Schnucks Floral, their floral design center is at 9200 Short Line Industrial Drive, which is off of Dealman Industrial.
And are those, when I see a number that's way higher than everything else, I think like we need to make sure that
That
stays.
person's really happy.
Yeah.
There was a couple, and I think what you're referring to is probably Enterprise.
Oh.
In there, Enterprise had the registration process.
Yeah.
And in that case, they paid a merchant's license, but probably 99% of their sales were out of state. So it's not reflected in these numbers, but it was in the budget. I mean, when we saw our retail numbers budget wise,
Mhm.
they played a significant role in the amount of retail sales tax we collected. This is more reflective of who the current businesses that are there, because Enterprise really didn't reflect much in the collection of the licensing aspect of it. But we have some really good businesses, Medical West,
Yep.
That's
Lynn
the one
Care.
that's the one I was thinking of.
Auto Beauty Specialist,
Mhm.
and they're the Schnucks. And Murphy doesn't fall under it
No.
as much because they're under a service.
They're just a service.
But they're the My Brand Promo always
Yep.
has a good amount of sales. And
And I am just blanking.
the other one is the Crown Lift, the Crown Trucks,
Crown Lift Trucks, yes, the Gund
and
Company
HDIS.
and HDIS. HDIS is one of our bigger contributors here. And but the Gund Company is definitely high on there. They pay both merchants and a service. But Virginia Tile, which was a part of this, has dropped off. So they are not reflected in that last year for sure. And yeah, Enterprise was, sometimes you would think that, they're big companies doing big business, but they don't qualify for the merchant license, and they're only a service, so they pay a flat rate. Let's see. So other than that, I just thought that this was a neat one because it doesn't really consider, it shows you that it's only part of the story.
Is there anything we can do to make, those, people happier, as you
Well,
said?
it's certainly something to think about and to look at, in your packets today. I put a copy of the business communications plan, and I'd like to look at that and see, those are like, you told me before that you want to know what we can do. And this is basically like your options. So you can look at this as something that's been vetted, that's been suggested, and confirmed in a lot of ways, because the comprehensive plan reflects the same goals and objectives.
Don, you had a slide that kind of outlined some of that in there earlier on in the day. I think it's towards towards the end.
Uh,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, so if you look
we
at
are.
this slide, it's kind of summarizes that business communications plan. And if you look at the far left there where the bullet points are, and I think when you showed that to me, I think we've gone through a majority of these. Uh, we streamlined the process for new business arrivals. They come in and they're dealing straight with Dawn throughout the process. She's coordinating them through the building inspector. She's coordinating them through the licenses. And then at the end, they get their certificates all through Dawn in there. We are aware and we have the insights of the key businesses like we kind of just went through. I mean, we know them pretty well. We haven't created a business page. We've talked with uh,
We are
Tiana.
doing business and all of that, which is
Well,
good.
correct, that's
Sure.
true. We highlight businesses, whether it's we did 2 newsletters ago, we highlighted like about 4 or 5 minority-owned businesses in all of that that generally don't get much attention. One was like the Framery in the industrial park in there, and then Becky J's and all of that plaza in there. And then we've improved our communications with the chamber, building relationships, good services, expanding the copy with the mayor to include, that we even have some businesses that do attend those now. Several businesses host Coffee with the Cop. We haven't tried all of that restaurant night out in there or local shopping campaigns. And then Five Oaks in the Parks Department and also Turkey Trot have been active, engaging with businesses to be, provide opportunities for sponsorships and those things. So a lot of these, it was kind of neat as she was going through that, we're checking off and getting and moving through those. And I think it has improved in terms when somebody comes in here to start a business, we got it down that, we're not sending them to 5 different places to fill out 6 different forms. Don has one uniform. How many forms? We had probably like 3 forms you had to fill out. Don has it
Yeah.
down to 1, and
3 forms,
it
4
takes care of
pages.
it.
I'm sure they love that.
Well, it has been nice, and the only rocky part of the transition has been people filling out more than 1 form because they just can't believe that it's 1 form. But that has been it's been the only learning curve so far. We should be proud of how much we've accomplished since the business communication plan was created. It was back in 2020, so it's a little bit older of a plan. It was a 5-year plan. So from an assessment and completion, we should probably think of ways that we can better express our pride in our accomplishments. However, as far as things to do, opportunities that we should take advantage of, as far as ideas, there are a lot of things that are listed in there. And things that we've talked about are like business roundtables. If we have the wherewithal to staff something like that ourselves, how you guys feel about that? Or if you to do a business roundtable, other than assessing their happiness, a business has happiness, what is our goal? There are surveys. I would highly recommend, utilizing our ArcGIS software and Survey 123 to do an electronic polling of businesses. If you think that it is certainly cost effective, we have their contact information, including email addresses from their applications. So we can utilize that to poll the businesses. Will we get, quite the return on even that minimal investment the first time? Maybe, maybe not. I'm certainly encouraged by the second year of business awards because we easily, I mean, like we blew it out of the water, the second year compared to
Like
the
the
first year.
amount of people who
The
participated.
number of people, yeah, we easily doubled it. So it was very fun to see that and to see that growing. But when it comes to surveys, some people are worried about survey fatigue. We don't send out a lot of surveys, either citywide or to our businesses. Creve Core does mailing campaign at least or once a year or once every 2 years. I don't know what the frequency is, but like it's a whole questionnaire, similar to a census. And it's very detailed on the residents of your household, earnings, things like that, opinions on services. So, and when I first started here, we had doing our GIS, our it was a major value added structure for from GIS to be able to offer surveys at no additional cost. So I put together surveys for different, like happiness, if you are, you're satisfied with the services of the city. So it can be something as, kind of bland and, essential needs as that, or we can go into, more business specific things, are you struggling with your sales, and how, but we'd have to be prepared to help.
All right, sounds good. We'll have a look at that. I don't think we have anything to actually act on. this
Yeah,
evening.
no, there's nothing to act on. This was all simply for production for y'all.
Good, good. All right, the next one was underperforming properties.
Yes, so Carlos is dealing with some ladies outside and he has that part of the process.
I guess I have a question
Yeah.
with this business communications plan. And Rod, I don't know how long you've been on the commission, but I'd be curious, if there were previous business communication plans, given what you had just said, Dawn, about this being 5 years and maybe nearing its end or time to rethink it, has there been a process for like saying, okay, let's evaluate where we are in this and then revise, come up with next steps?
That was something that Kiana had mentioned, because she said she doesn't even remember drafting this. It's been so long since she put it together. So, it certainly does, an evaluation for success. We have not done that as far as trying to keep our feet moving and trying to find ideas before the revision, I suppose, trying to rescue what we can as far as ideas from it would be my goal in
Is that
reviewing.
something that you would think that this commission would look at?
I would hope that we would want to revise. I don't know if uh sorry, Carlos, Kate had asked if we are looking at revising our business communications plan.
Yeah, this one's about 5 years old, and we've been in discussions with Kiana. And if I understood what you had asked her, we would probably look for some input or some type of presentation to the commission as she puts that together.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I was
but-
just curious more about process.
Mhm.
But it sounds like this business communications plan is kind of a new in 2020 entity, new thing for, is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so then any kind of revisions or evaluation of the plan, that hasn't happened previously.
Yeah, like before 2020, we didn't have the resources. We didn't have
Yeah.
anybody doing actually, if there was, it was kind of like a split sort of situation where the city clerk might do a little bit of communications rather. We actually have a person who actually is in charge of communications now. And, the business side of it is just one facet of it.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, we would largely be evaluating our success since this plan.
And I'd say, evaluate, great. Kind of like I'm looking at more of like a milepost saying, hey, we got 5 years under our belt. What's working, what's not working. And basically what we've done is just sort of added on things and maybe it's time to drop some things or whatever, or look at this list and see how we can integrate these things. And I think that would be the process there. Have Kiana come out to a meeting and just
Yeah, and we can
discuss this and
coordinate that
we'll
with
go from there.
Oh, that would be fun to have Kiana.
Great. Yeah, and then, well, getting back to distressed properties. Carlos, you had some things to say on.
On this, just a couple of updates. We looked at these properties at our last meeting. They extend from 170 up where the apartment complexes are on the north side of Collingwood and Olive, all the way down to the far west by Emmanuel Lutheran, where the old Hanger Prosthetics used to be. That's vacant in there. So what we're trying to do is, put these out there, make sure the commission's aware, council too, makes us accountable that we're following up on these properties and going through these. So our goal is to give you updates of who we've talked to, what's going on in there and all that. We've made attempts to make contact with, starting at the far right end, the 9005, 9101. Those are apartment properties that are under the ownership of the Quick Trip Corporation in there. And we're trying to get some property maintenance issues addressed and mitigated in there, and assume that we're moving with the apartments as is in there. We haven't received or had any communications of any applications or petitions from them for a couple of years now. 9270, which is the former property that was proposed for a dispensary at Dolores and Olive.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you have a question?
Oh, I just, maybe I
sorry.
didn't catch it. You said you had tried to talk to them and the Quick Trip properties, you hadn't reached them.
We haven't reached, we reached out to them regarding some property maintenance issues
Yeah.
dealing with that division, but not the division that was looking looking to redevelop the parcel. That side we haven't heard back from after we've had a discussion with them of what our comprehensive plan was,
To be
what our
clear,
zoning
Quick
was.
Trip is not in the apartment business.
Which I understand, yeah.
Yeah, they're in the development business.
Correct.
So it's just a matter of time, I guess, so.
However, it's been how many years that they've owned it? I mean, there will be some movement eventually. There are some nullifying factors, such as the street behind it is still within the city's ownership and maintenance. It would be difficult to develop that as a Quick Trip under its present circumstances and
very shallow.
zoning. So it's certainly while they are not in the apartment management business, they may own it for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
9270, it's a yellow building right next to the shops of Price Crossing. We've had various interests in that lot the past year. The most recent was for a child daycare center, which I think, is worth some consideration in there, because it's just not an ideal location and parcel in there. So the issue is, under its zoning, a child daycare center requires 80,000 square feet of land area. And in this case, this parcel is probably about 30 at the most in there. So it would require, the city having a discussion of whether it wants to change its regulations to be able to accommodate that type of use on that parcel. And that's something that the Planning Commission kind of talked about last week at their meeting in there. And we don't know. I don't know what that would get, but I
Is
don't.
there an application or a?
No, we had
interest?
somebody approach and inquire about that type of use at that location.
And the planning commission is looking at potential exclusions.
Yeah, well, not necessarily exclusions, but whether we should modify the code, if that's something we would want to promote
Okay.
in there, or make the code more accommodating to that type of use in there. 80,000 square feet is a good zoning tool to regulate different type of uses, especially standalone uses in there. Our initial plan was to try to get multiple users in one location in there to assemble properties and things like that.
Within
This would,
the 80,000 square feet.
correct.
Okay.
This one's a little bit more difficult because you have a fully developed center to the east, you got a road on the west, and you got residential properties to the south that are redeveloping quickly. So 9306 and 9318, one's a lawyer's office, the other one's the dentist's office. In there, we had some property maintenance issues. Both of them have addressed the concerns that we've had on those, but at this point, they don't have any intention of, any further plans in there. The lawyer's office had a deck that was falling apart in the front, and it had it tarped over. That they've taken care of that. They fixed that in there. The dentist's office had peeling paint on the west side, and they painted and addressed that in there. But we'll continue to follow up on those. They're nice sites in there, but eventually I would assume they're gonna at some point, whether it's 5, 10, or 20 years down the road, they'll be making decisions of how that goes. 9345 is ABC Trading. They are they're not going, they're closing their business. So there's an end of business sale. She plans to close by November 1st in there. She had some interest on the site by some type of financial company, as a financial user, but I haven't seen anything submitted. We do know the realtor, and we were going to reach out to him because he's got several properties along that corridor. It might be worthwhile to invite to the commission to see what is he hearing out there, what is he interested in along the corridor, and that's Mr. Bond in there. He's representing ABC Trading, the lower level of Easy Storage, and then out at 9719. I'm not sure if his sign is the hangar or the sign company building, but we'll find out.
Bond?
Bond, BHAN,
Oh,
Steve
yeah.
Bond. 9611 is Enchanted Bride, and unfortunately, due to some property issues, they did shut down. They were in the plans of starting to phase out and retiring in there, but there was some major building code issues and violations that we first assisted them, that they needed to close from the public but could still operate within the building, because she did a lot of seamstress and all that, so it was mostly off-site. And then we got to a point that we had to close the facility down. I did meet.
What facilitated that, that knowledge that it was substandard?
The fire department does periodic inspections, where my department, unless there's a request, or it's brought to our attention by somebody that actually went in there.
Okay.
And in this case, in one of the fire departments they do annual inspections. They noted that there was some issues in the basement and all that
Okay.
kind of started that whole process. So they have indicated that they have someone who's interested in partnering with them to develop the property. So I did sit down with an architect a couple of weeks ago to talk about what they were looking at the site in there. They seemed like they wanted to keep a lot of that building.
What type of end use?
Pardon?
What type of end use?
It would continue commercial, and they had interest in residential. Yeah. So.
Like a like multi-purpose?
Correct. So they were interested in how our zoning worked and whether that would be something that could be accommodating, and it can in there. But they seem to like that front, the building front, the way it is. That glass, and then there's a stone side. Kind of looks like a old 60s Highway 66 hotel, along the roadway. Type of thing, and then maybe adding an upper level, and then keeping retail with a couple of units on an upper level. So it'll be interesting. Within the code, we can make it work, but traffic, the parking, and the other side improvements will be the bigger question in there. So those are the ones I think, more on that distress side. 9719, again, I still don't know much on that one. That one was the old Hanger prosthetic site in there, and we do want to make contact with them. Wasn't able to uh, get in contact with a representative. But on some other things, just so you're aware, the U.S. Bank call center that is in the 9300 block of Olive, it's a big 8-acre parcel. And there they vacated in there. We do have a meeting scheduled in a couple of weeks with um, the current interest in the property. Don't know what they're planning yet, but I was able to find who they are, reach out and schedule a meeting. So we did have discussions about the lower level of Easy Storage, the remaining tenant space, and there was some restaurant interest in there, but they haven't submitted anything yet. So we're following up to see, if there's anything we can help to try to facilitate that in there. And then at Olivet Center, where Party City used to be, and I think they met with Don today, Spirit Halloween will be there for 90-day period in there, but they are working with a potential long-range retail type of tenant to take up that whole space. And there, so we're in discussions with them. I can't disclose because they, on that. So just to let you know, we're working to get somebody into that space. It's a good space. I don't know how long Party City has it under contract, or they're still getting paid from them or not. And there was a question that was posed to me too, is like, well, can they subdivide those spaces in there? It is costly because they'd have to tear the flooring, bring in new plumbing if they were to create, like if they were to split that space into 2 tenant spaces. Yeah. So they're, it can be done, but there are costs to be able to do that. And we had a similar discussion when they were looking at, when Tuesday Morning had left to see, because, it's got 2 visible fronts, or street fronts, and that was something that they would entertain. And they kind of thought it was, that the costs outweighed any benefits, because they'd have to bring in new plumbing, provide a full bathroom to whatever other tenant they created, and all the logistics were just not something they were looking to do.
One thing, I know it's not distressed, but it's sort of hanging out there, is Sandstone and the outlot of the Olive Brook.
Yes. So we went back. They approached the council in February, and then they were supposed to come back and give us an update. So we're reaching out to them to see what's going on now, or where are they, and what needs to be done on that side. So yeah, we'll probably know a little bit more at our October meeting. Then,
Right.
but a good point. Yes.
Carlos, on those lines, has there been any progress? I know there was some question and some difficulties with the 2 driveways with that parcel. There were.
Yeah, that's something we're looking at. The council again, this fiscal year's budget, FY26, approved for our public works director to get consultants to do the kind of survey the site, get an idea on the cost, and do some preliminary engineering for the connection. And then that's where we would work with the Sandstone group about, where would that access be best on their site. The access on Olive won't move, but where they would connect into that. And then we would want the existing entrance kind of closed off. So yeah, we have some funding to do that. And we did talk because we were inquiring of how we would get Mr. Sandstone, or when we would get him back to the council. So we were getting all those pieces moving. Good question.
It sounds good.
Mhm.
On 9270, you mentioned there was somebody, there was originally a dispensary concept,
Mhm.
but that fell through, or it was.
Yeah,
kind of
there was a lot of public opposition in there, and there was some issues with the overall design and making it work. That just, I mean, it was it's a very constrained site, and the access was probably one of the bigger concerns, and whether we could close access points and how that would impose on the side streets, or in there. It was a tough site to work, to try to put a retailer in there,
Yeah.
regardless of whether it was a dispensary or so, but someone that would have a high volume, it's a difficult site to work with. The previous users were service or office type of users, so they were a little bit more subtle in there. But again, that, you know, depending on what type of services you provided, you could be pretty tight in there too. One of the things, which was a good thing, back in 2006, when they did the Shops at Price Crossing, we did obtain a cross-access easement. So that parcel that ever were to develop or get into a special permit type of category, they could approach the owner of the Shops at Price Crossing and obtain an access point onto there to get the price.
Like-
Cross-access.
From their lot, like from their lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Got it. That would be a good idea.
Good discussion on that. Definitely some things to look at. Okay, now moving along, other business, meeting minutes. I saw that stricken from the record, which is fine, which is fine.
I do apologize there. I just got back from vacation. And that is my
Well,
only excuse.
Well deserved. So hope you had a good time.
I did, thank you. But there are no meeting minutes.
All
So
right. This is a new one, election of officers. Do we have enough people to do that?
Is that something you want to hold? Typically, and this is probably the smallest group that has officers in there because there's 5 of you. The commission had 7. In there, we just did theirs in there. And I think the Parks and Rec has 7 or 9. So it's something we can wait till the next meeting, make sure everybody is in attendance, if that's okay. Or else your officers are
Well, we can-
are the vacant chairs.
elect the guys who weren't here.
Exactly. So,
I was thinking,
what would you?
You,
want me to make a motion? Can we-
if you
can-
want to.
Can we do?
Please
that
use your
in
microphone
abstain-
to-
No, I don't want to. Can we do that in abstention?
An absentia?
Mhm.
In absentia,
Yeah, can we do that?
like,
No,
are
wouldn't
you-
be fair.
I don't, no, I don't think that we can just elect the people who are not present.
I just
Um,
want kind of.
I was simply
wanted-
suggesting that we just renew the 2 that are already there. That was going to make a motion to re-elect the current
Re-elect the
officers,
Officers. and-
not elect somebody to a position that they've never had. That was not my intention.
I put it up
Hey,
there
Dave's
just so
not
I
here.
get
Let's
it on
make him the
record so
chair.
they could listen to it later when they catch up.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I just thought, I mean, Nate's not here, so
They'll know how
that's why I
close
was
they
asking.
came. Yeah.
I would not have recommended that we appoint David or me
It's- yeah, it's-
as chair.
It's definitely high pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so high pressure.
Cool. All right, I just thought we could just
I'm sure Nate
check that
can
off the
handle
list
it.
of things that we needed to take care of. That's all.
Okay. We'll just wait for
We
the
can
next
wait.
meeting.
Okay, that's fine. All right, given that, reports. City staff reports.
a couple of updates, just so everybody's aware. Start on 170 Olive Cross first. So you see lot 3, it's pretty well shelled. They should be doing the exterior finishes probably starting by the end of this week. In there, we had the 2 tenants, of course, the Brass Tap and the Paris Baguette that will anchor the ends. And then Verizon Wireless and Tropical Smoothie have signed contracts. So there is one more tenant space in there, and it's pretty narrow, but you know, they have an opportunity to get another tenant in there. So that's kind of exciting. I know the interior tenants want to get moving, and their hope is to get their finishes before year's end. Friday, we did get the plans for the hotel, which is lot 6. So we're doing the initial reviews right now with the goal to get that to the commission either late September or early October. It just depends how compliant the full plan set is in there. They did change the prototype. It was going to be a 2-brand Marriott hotel. I can't recall what the
West?
Courtyard and the Element, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so it's now going to be a Courtyard only, and it went from 145 units to 5 stories to now it's I believe it's 95 units and 4 stories in there. So they did bring down the height and reduce the number of units in there. If that, continues through, in there, there is still lot 5, which was the office component. In there, it was 6 stories, and I forgot how many square feet in there. But I think the developer is looking to convert that. He's been in discussions with the restaurants to fill that space instead of doing the office building. So
Yeah, he was here and well, 2 meetings ago.
to talk about that, okay,
And I just, nothing to report though. He's still looking for something.
correct. And so, then across the street behind the CVS and Chevy's, the Irvington Place Apartments, that one's going pretty smoothly. Their goal is by early next year to have tenants, spaces available for occupancy. In there, a lot of sidewalk work going on, which is going to make the interconnection with the Hilltop Arrowhead neighborhood with the rest of the city really neat in there. So it's been pretty exciting to see in there, because for the longest time that was disconnected from the city with the industrial park, Olive and 170.
Just one question, just back on the hotel. Given that it's 2/3 of the size that it originally was, is there the parking garage still part of that, or is it surface parking?
I think it's surface parking. I have to take a look. I'm pretty sure it is surface parking
Okay,
in there some.
right.
Yeah, I think it's all surface parking. If you look at the development as a whole and consider the apartment garage too, and all the other surface areas, I think that it would comply in there, but I haven't seen what, if he does the hotels, who they are.
But my understanding too, just, given his, a couple of meetings ago, his presentation was the office building is not off the books. If it happens, it happens,
Correct.
although it's slim that it may.
That would be my understanding. I mean,
Okay.
that's,
Right, so that has not changed, so, okay. Right,
and the office building was subject to that garage, if that's what you're
Yeah,
asking.
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, so the Greenway component, they should be starting engineering next year, and which would be 26 for construction and 27, and they're still negotiating the last access point off of Dealman. And that's been the big holdup.
Actually, that access point off of Dealman, that parcel, that 7-acre parcel,
Mhm.
which is the boundary between us and the, I believe it's unincorporated area of St. Louis County.
No,
It's Overland?
no, it's as you go down
Oh,
Dealman,
right, yeah, like,
it's HDIS, then the 7-acre parcel with the creek in the north side.
and then Chicago Heights.
No,
Yeah.
Rothwell Heights, which is part of the city of Olivet, and then the railroad tracks, and that is our northern boundary.
Oh, okay, all right.
So,
And
After you get the-
Rothwell Heights is
Oh,
residential.
yes.
Okay. All right, so nothing's happening with that 7-acre parcel right now. You're actually dealing with the current owners about the greenway going through there and the access point.
That is correct. Or the Greenway is, yes. So,
Is the greenway considering purchasing the entire parcel?
no, not to the best of my knowledge, no, that's not on the table. And I don't think that the owners have expressed that interest of selling it all either.
I'm sorry, they've not expressed their interest in selling?
Selling the entire parcel,
Oh, so they have some plans.
that I couldn't say. I mean, we haven't seen anything yet.
Okay.
And it's
Well,
zone
if they sold
industrial,
it-
I
if
mean.
they sold it the greenway, they could make a park out of it or something.
It's
Park.
possible, but I think it's a good question, but understand, I mean, the city went through and did its master parks plan. That discussion had been, and there was not, at least at that time, now these plans do change, an appetite for adding an additional park. So it could change over time, or they could come back and do an addendum for that purposes. But I think for fiscal purposes, right now, the city, and I hate to talking to that extent, but there's not an interest of putting another park there.
From the city standpoint.
Well, at least it is. And again, I don't mean to talk on behalf of the council because you just got on, but I think at that time,
Didn't even discuss that.
Yeah.
Well, we've had some discussion about that parcel here,
mhm.
but it's been for sale forever, so. All right,
So,
okay, very good.
and that kind of covers, I mean, when we talked about the other sites, and there are a couple of things, just so you're aware too, like on our neighbors. So on the U City side, you know, the Deerbergs, Target, you know, those are planned for early next year. Up in front of Deerbergs, there are two more outlets that are going to be put in between the First Watch and the coffee shop. Based on the plans I saw on their council side, one's going to be a dental office in there, so it could be like an Aspen Dental or something like that. That's a standalone in there. And then the other one shows a 2-tenant retail with a drive-through. So it could be a retailer with another restaurant that gets placed. Go all the way to the other end on Lindbergh. Lots going on there on the Creve Coeur side. The Bear Campus, which they call on the west side, which is the Oleo Village. The Schnucks has signed the agreement, and there are plans that show the new Schnucks, some retail, a little Main Street, and then townhomes. The first permits that are going to get issued, it looks like, are going to be for the Schnucks, and then the townhomes. And I think it was over 100 townhomes that they have planned in that back area on the west side. But if you get closer to Olivet on the east side, you know, the city is having public hearings about what Bear is going to do with the rest of that campus, because they're only going to keep, I think, 50 of it, and then 90 of it is going to be sold in there. I believe they have another public hearing.
Acres,
Yes,
okay.
I-
And this is east side,
yes.
yes.
I believe they have another public hearing coming up, either probably late September, early October. The biggest concerns we heard from that last one were, you know, traffic, protecting as many of the trees as possible in there, because it is a pretty heavily wooded area on that south end of that campus in there. But those were the predominant comments that you see on their website in there. So interesting stuff going in there. The other thing that they're doing is that they've already started construction, but the intersection of Old Olive and Lindbergh. So you have the Kia and the Subaru, and then the other side you have the Kia and the Subaru in there, but you can't go across because it's a median. So that median is being removed, and it will become a lighted interchange. Because the 39 North master plan eventually had Old Olive as the main street for that development, even though there's now going to be another main street on the south side of Olive. So that's a lot of capacity of retail and things that they're bringing in. But yeah, they're starting construction on that. And then at the old Gracer site, which was the old Quick Trip site, they have plans that have been submitted for I think it's, I'm going to say 150, 200 to 200 unit apartments in a 4-story complex that would extend from the old Pumpernickels all the way to the Tynevia in there. And then that the building would be up by the street. So
We'll see what happens with that. I mean, they're just starting the application for that.
correct. The
They
drive.
haven't had any public meetings.
No, I don't think so. I think they just had the application submitted. So
I've listened to some of the comments about that parcel before.
So
Okay.
a lot of activity going on there.
Yeah.
And then those are the updates I'd want, if there's any questions, or Don, if you have anything else.
I do not, other than to call your attention to some dates on the calendar. And I wanted to, these are mostly, you know, social items, as Parks has a lot of activities happening and events coming about. So please keep an eye on your Olivet calendars for that, as I am not always the most up to date. But I did highlight some of the big ones, and then we have 2 coffee with the mayors in between now and our next EDC meeting, which we have gotten off schedule, where if we keep it as we are now, it is August. Our next would be in, or sorry, yeah,
Yes.
yes, it's August. Our next would be in October. And then the next would be in December. So if we want to stay on that schedule, then our next one is going to be on October 27th at 7 PM. And then that's all I have. If there are any questions, I will send out a reminder about the next two dates so that everybody can be on schedule.
All right, sounds good. Council liaison.
Not too much really going on council wise. If any of you know younger people or have seen younger people on those fast little bikes, electric bikes, we did just approve a new ordinance that helps put some safety guardrails on for those kiddos. Mostly they're kiddos that are on those bikes zipping around town. There's a lot in the ordinance, so I'm not gonna try and explain all of it, but the summary is if you see kids driving recklessly, please alert the police, especially if you see a pattern of reckless driving, to let the police know. No bikes of any kind on park paths that are unpaved, and on any other sidewalk or park path or the Centennial Greenway, speed limit of 15 miles an hour for all wheeled instruments.
Electric
Vehicles.
or otherwise.
Electric or otherwise, yes, speed limit of 15 miles an hour. And then also the council serves as the board for the Parks Foundation. And we did have a meeting of the Parks Foundation to discuss some funding opportunities. And it's a very new foundation, so the council that serves as the board is still working to kind of develop the foundation of the foundation. But I think it's an important thing for the EDC to know that even though the Parks Foundation does benefit the parks, it's a great way to reach out to businesses that might do like matching grant, or not grant, but
Matching donations.
donations. Lots of businesses do that where they have a certain amount of money set aside each year that they donate, and they're often looking for partners and to share that information with our businesses. And the parks is obviously doing a lot of that work, especially right now with the trivia night coming up on September 6th, which if you aren't yet reserved for a table or want to, it's $200 for a table of 8. Should be a lot of fun, and it's coming up. So, and the only other thing that is not on the calendar here, but that I do want to highlight, and this is me speaking as an individual interested in things and not necessarily me promoting this as a council member, is there is going to be a stream cleanup on October 25th for the River de Pere. So the River de Pere Trash Bash.
Where is that specifically?
So Warson Park, basically where the headwaters of the River de Pere starts,
Oh, I've not.
right back down at the bottom, the north side of Warson Park there. And so River de Pere is a funny river, right? Some of it's underground, tunneled, other is daylighted, some of it is channeled with concrete, other is natural ground area. So we're working with Bruce to identify the best access point to bring folks out. But this is the first year that section of the River de Pere is being included in the trash
great.
bash. So
It's great. Yeah.
Thank you.
it's fun to do.
Thank you for including that because that is a really good upcoming event. I also noticed Harvest Festival. I'm not sure what the date is for that.
The 25th as well.
The 25th. Okay.
So you can clean the river in the morning and then come for Harvest Festival in the evening.
Then we can scare people
Yes.
with our
More so
outfits.
And
Yeah.
Harvest Festival also, this is a change you may hear from people about. I expect we'll hear from people. It has been free every other year. when it was Boo Bash. I don't fully know if at some point in time they charged, but right now, early admission for children is $10. And that includes dinner and candy, popcorn, access to all the events. Adults are free. When the early bird pricing expires, it will be 15. And the reason why is Parks has always operated that event at a loss. And revenues and budgets being what they are, it did not seem to be financially responsible to continue to operate at a loss.
Well, anytime an event is free for the residents, there's no revenue, so the opposite of revenue is a loss. So really, they were just sponsoring it. I wouldn't say they were operating it at a
Well,
loss.
right,
They
yes.
chose to spend their budget on
Yes.
something for the residents of the city of Olivet, because we do have a fairly substantial section of our community that really appreciated having that free event. So that does bother me. Just thought I'd throw that out there, educate.
Yes, and I'm sure it will bother other people as well.
It really bothers me.
So I think the best person to reach out to would be Beverly,
Okay,
or to speak to the Parks Commission.
okay.
What's the budget?
Um,
What's the budget that's needed?
That I don't know.
What's for dinner?
Hot dog, bag of chips, and a
Brownie.
juice box, and yeah, some kind of
Cookie
a
or what?
Just
treat
curious.
of sorts. But
Just
I,
candy.
I
yeah,
just, I
lot,
had to
plenty
ask
of
'cause
candy,
I know
plenty of
Becky's
candy.
hungry.
Thanks, man.
All right. Actually, have they actually tried to see if they had sponsors, people who want to sponsor that? Because it's kind of like the Turkey Trot is sponsored.
Yes, again, that would be a great question for Beverly.
Okay.
Cause I'm not on the parks, I don't sit as the liaison on
Alright.
the Parks Commission.
Just curious. Okay. All right. That being said, is there any other business that someone is pressing to bring up? All right.
I move for adjournment. I move for adjournment.
I will second.
Good. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Hot dog.
No.